أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And you welcome to my usual program. And today I'm gonna be talking about Islam not being just a religion but also a way of life. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. I thank Almighty Allah for making me a Muslim, and I thank Almighty Allah for making my family Muslim, and some of us that are Muslim. I thank Almighty Allah for that, because it's all by the mercy, by the grace of Allah, that we are Muslim. I just want to tell you guys today that Islam is not only about praying your five daily prayer. It's not about your zakat alone. It's not about your fasting. It's not about going for Hajj. So it entails a lot of other things, as we all know. And I want to say for a fact that Islam is a complete package. It's a total way of life. It's not only a religion. It's a total way of life. Islam is involved in all facets of our life. All facets of our life, from conception to when we are gone. Everything is about Islam. We call on Almighty Allah to retain us on the path of Al-Islam, to make us to die not as anything other than a Muslim. May He accept all our prayer. Like, for example, firstly, one of the ways that I can I conclude that Islam is a way of life is the fact that, okay, let's look at the starting point. Before you start procreating, Islam make provision for how you select your wife or your husband, and the process that you have to go through in order for you to have an harmonious and fruitful marital relationship. So Islam makes provision for that. It's a matter of taqwa that you don't just grab a person on the road and start making family with that person without going through the process. So Islam makes provision for all of those steps to be followed, which I've explained in my previous 4 or 5 lecture on marriage in Islam. It's easy as a man or a woman to get somebody, a sexual partner, so easily. You don't have to go through all of the process, but because of the fact that you fear Allah, you go through that. After marriage, even if you want to have sexual relationship with your wife, there are steps that Islam stipulate that we have to follow. You need to pray. There are some azikri that you have to say before you go into your wife. So, and even at that, Islam respects the dignity of the woman. There are places that you can go into. For example, you can't go into your wife through the back. There are processes that you have to follow. These are all stated in Islam. Even while your wife is pregnant, there are also steps that are stated in the Quran and in the Hadith that we need to follow. And so on and so forth. So these are all the points that makes Islam to be a complete way of life. And even when you give birth to the baby, you have steps that are stated in the Quran and Hadith that needs to be followed. When you name your child, what is the process? Do you have to wait for the imam before you can give your child name, and so on and so forth? You can do what you need to do, the prayer you need to say to the child when you have the child. Even when he's or she is growing up, there are steps. All of these are stated in the Quran and Hadith. So that's just on the family side, making child upbringing. We also talk about the rights of the orphan, somebody that lost the father when he or she hasn't reached the age of puberty. Islam makes provision for the orphan so that they don't suffer at the end of the day. The property and so on and so forth. And there is also property rights. All of these are stated. Inheritance. How do what are the provisions that you have to make for your next of kin, for your children, for your wife, for your husband when you are no more. All of these are provided for in Islam. Yeah, apart from that, the other thing is that even at that, people that are not your family, that are not your family member, that cannot really inherit you, Islam makes provision for at least you can give 1/3 of your property, of your estate, to those people. So Islam provides for that. So there's a provision for that as well in Islam. Now we also talk about the treatment of the animal. How do you treat the animal? You treat the animal humanly. Even so all of these are provided. You don't have an animal and you make them starve to death. You have to protect them. So Islam, makes provision for that as well. So it's a complete way of life. So you have to you have to take care of the hard animal. You don't treat them, you don't maltreat the animal. So that's all of these are stated in Islam. Islam also encourages, how do you relate with your kin, with your family, with your close family members, your parents, your moms, your dad's family. How do you relate to that? All of these are stated in the Quran. So I can continue, I can go on, even in business. Islam is into business. What kind of business can you do? What kind of business can you do? How do you conduct your business? How do you conduct your business? What kind of profit margin can you charge? Can you, when you loan money, do you have to take additional interest or benefit? All of these are stated in Islam. Islam talk about gambling, intoxicants, gambling, intoxicants, acceptable business practices. All of these are stated in Islam. Even when somebody dies, the rights of the deceased, you have to respect the deceased. You have to escort the deceased to its final resting place. You have to pray for the deceased. All of these are stated in Islam. So Islam, it's everything. It encompasses everything. It's not only about 5 daily prayer. It's more than that. It's a total way of life. How do you run your life? How do you run your family? Even during war, Islam makes provision for war. During war, you don't kill the woman, you don't fight the woman, you don't kill the child, you don't kill the animal. The trees are protected. You protect the trees, the birds, animals, everything are protected during the war. So this is Islam. This is complete way of life. It's all about everything. How do you relate with non-Muslim? Islam provides for that. It gives them their right. The fact that they are not Muslim does not mean you can interfere with their life. In as much as you are not being attacked, you are not being disturbed from practicing your religion, Islam allows you to live in harmonious relationship with other religion. For example, the masquerade, if it's going on its own, is not having any business with it. It's not your responsibility to go and be attacking him and harassing him. So it tells you how you relate with even non-Muslim. Non-Muslim needs support. You help him out. He needs financial support. He needs emotional support. You provide those support to him or her. regardless of his or her religion. This is Islam. There is no compulsion. Islam does not compare that he or she has to be a Muslim before you support. No. The only thing is that you don't follow him or her to participate in a religion activity. If he's having a baby naming ceremony, is having a wedding ceremony, is his business, in as much as it's not related to his religion, you can support him. Anything a non-Muslim, you can support him, except his or her religion. Then there has to be a line, there has to be a demarcation. Every other thing that is halal, his wife is in labor, he needs money, you have to support him if you have the means. So Islam is total package. We call on Almighty Allah to retain us on the path of Islam. Because Islam is not only, you might be a Muslim today and tomorrow you are not a Muslim. It's a possibility. I know of a brother, may Almighty Allah accept his coming. When you send a WhatsApp message to him on anything Islamic related, by the way, he's a Muslim. He was a Muslim. So, Alhamdulillah, he died as a Muslim. When you send a message to him related to Islam, advising him, so on and so on and so forth, he comes back at you. So why will you? I don't want you to be receiving any religious message from you. I'm not interested. Don't send any religious message to me. Just leave me. I don't know your religion. I'm not interested. And this, you know what? Very close to his last days in this world, he became a righteous Muslim. He was frequent in the mosque. He was frequent in Alaqah. He was everything. And as Allah we have it, during COVID, he died. He was gone during COVID. May Allah accept his coming. He was a very good Muslim. So you can imagine when his life was coming to an end, he embraced Islam so fully. And we've also seen Imam, so to say, during their last day, they are out of Islam. During their last day, they are out of Islam. We call on Almighty Allah to make us to die as a Muslim. We call on him to accept our prayer, to accept our brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.